Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 coming up. We have aisle 101. The final couple will be competing for the wedding. You get to hear about them, and you vote right now at Q101.com. All three couples you can vote right now on the rest of the week to decide who gets a $30,000 wedding. We had Courtney on. She would love that, but she's not in the finals. Sorry, Courtney. Here's who are getting close to the finals in Piece of Garbage Madness. Something happened that's never happened in the history. And when I say that, people may not realize I've been doing Piece of Garbage Madness for maybe close to 20 years now.
Wow. That's a lot of your life dedicated to Piece of Garbage Madness.
Listen, it's worth it. I'm going to look back on it and have no regrets.
I'm sure.
I mean, my family
Your
might.
life calling is like, oh, crap.
And if you're new and just tuned in today for the first time, Piece of Garbage Madness is brackets that we made with your nominations for people and things that have been pieces of garbage in the last year. And then everybody's voted on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram stories to decide who advances and who you think is the bigger piece of garbage. But before we get to this unprecedented event, down goes number one. So the fail four, the first one in, will not be 1 seed, the Kennedy Construction Project. It lost to 2 seed, the Illinois Tollway spam texts. What a matchup that was related. You see what I'm saying with the construction of the highway and then the tollway themselves. But I guess a lot of the argument I saw was that I don't take the Kennedy. So the spam text annoyed me more than taking the Kennedy.
Oh, that's fair.
And only a certain amount of people, like, I don't know, 1 million a day take the Kennedy. One of the most brutal things ever. And especially Kenzie leaving today because it goes outbound, the problem now.
I know.
So they've advanced. Also, Upset City, 2 seed Netflix price hikes, took down the worst team in Major League Baseball history, the White Sox.
Amen. Hey, again, it affects more people.
That's kind of what the argument was. But 2 1 seeds gone right there.
Wow.
Now, this one was interesting. Artificial intelligence. There was a lot of controversy adding this up against Tiffany Henyard, the 1 seed, last year's champion, the number 1 overall seed this year. So artificial intelligence, Twitter, would not let AI win on Twitter. I'm saying there's something afoot there with the voting.
So Tiffany Henyard was a more popular choice on Twitter.
Correct. But is it really? Because the company is run now by artificial intelligence on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
Tiffany won by 20%. In IG stories, AI won. No AI on Instagram, I guess. To stop that.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And it was so close on Facebook, down to the wire. But advancing, and another 1 seed gone. Last second, half court buzzer beater. I'm coming, Elizabeth. AI took out Tiffany Henyard. Artificial intelligence has advanced to take out Tiffany Henyard. I never thought I'd see the day. Never thought I'd see that day.
I mean, I feel vindicated. I feel like our crew members, our listeners, they finally get me and my concerns over AI. This is our doing. We've spread the word about the dangers, the fact that it's going to kill us all eventually. And Tiffany Henyard had her shot, no longer in office, didn't kill all of us. It feels good. It feels good that AI finally won.
Does it feel good?
Yeah, it does.
All right. Listen, we're up against it here. I want to get to what happened in Piece of Garbage Madness that is setting the world on fire. All media outlets are covering this unprecedented event. And we'll let you know what that is in 6 minutes when we come back here. You have to hear what happened.
Brian and Kenzie in the morning. And Chicago's alternative all day.
Q101.
All right, so I got to finish up what happened in Piece of Garbage Madness. Unprecedented in the years and years of doing this. Never happened before, of all the issues and problems that have happened. So, we're doing a rematch in the Awful Eight because I looked at the committee looked at all the votes.
I like that your voice cracked as you were saying that too. That was very good all the way around.
That's AI in my throat.
That's
already.
right. Because we're by the way, we're in the fail 4. We're almost done with this.
Yes, the fail 4 will be tomorrow, and then the championship game will be on Thursday. You vote, you decide who is the biggest piece of garbage moving on in our brackets, which you can see on all our social platforms and Q101.com. And I had thought egg prices easily advanced and went on to the to determine who would be in the Final Four, and they would make it. They were a 1 seed. Mm-hmm. And then people started DMing me all weekend going, why did you make egg prices advance? They didn't. And I looked at it and I counted it, and then at one moment they did. But then I refreshed my pages, and all of a sudden they didn't.
You had old tabs. That'll get you.
I don't know if it was a user error
Well,
on my
Well,
part,
it sounds like you just never refreshed it, which would do it.
or there were hackers from Green Bay that went on there and didn't want Aaron Rodgers to advance and changed. It actually,
Doesn't Green Bay hate him, though?
they don't really, some people have moved on from him, but they can't deny what he did for them. I think most Packers fans still like Aaron Rodgers.
so it was egg prices against Aaron Rodgers.
No, it would have been egg prices against the 3 seed, people who call Twitter X.
Classic. Okay.
But
Iconic.
but egg prices did not advance. So I'm doing a rematch right now. It's on our Facebook. It'll be up at Twitter and our Instagram stories in a second. And you vote and you decide. I've never done that in the history of this. It's never happened. There's never been something like this that ever happened. But technology, we're in a post-truth society. This is what happens when we have no control over what we see on the internet.
Over refreshing the page.
Possibly that was the issue. So right now, talk about a choice. It's a 5 seed, Aaron Rodgers, against a 3 seed, people who call Twitter X.
And this is to get into the fail 4.
That's correct. The fail 4 already is going to be this. 3 seed artificial intelligence versus 2 seed Netflix price hikes.
Battle of the Titans.
That's going to blow your mind. Good luck on that one. And then it will be a 2 seed Illinois tollway spam text against the winner of this matchup, either Aaron Rodgers or people who call Twitter X. I can't believe the run people who call Twitter X has made.
I'm not surprised at all.
We made that as a joke, thinking it would be out in the first round. And I think people...
It really bothers me.
I guess it bothers... We're all together in this. It bothers us all together. So
If anyone listening is single and they don't wish to be single anymore, this is good information to take with you. Because if you're on a first date, make sure you're calling that bitch Twitter. Okay?
if you learn anything from this ridiculous bracket, learn that. So
Very important.
So I'm going to leave this matchup up all day. And then tomorrow we'll have the fail 4 matchups. And then, of course, the piece of garbage champion on Thursday. So it's Aaron Rodgers against people who call Twitter X. You vote. You decide who is the champion of garbage. Now that Tiffany Henyard's gone, it's going to be a new crown.
Wow.
For sure.
This is insane.
This is
She's like, you know what? I just can't win this year. This is the worst.
It's all there for you on Facebook, Twitter, and our Instagram story. Coming up after the Beastie Boys, we're going to hear from couple number 3, Aisle 101, a free $30,000 wedding going to one of 3 couples. You can vote right now, even before you hear it, for all 3 couples at Q101.com.
Because their stories are up, so you can read about them and get the whole background. But you're going to get a deeper dive on our little game show.
Which is in 4 minutes.
Woo!
After the Beastie Boys with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with another couple competing for a $30,000 wedding in Aisle 101. This is at the Haight in Elgin. It's the most beautiful place in the Chicagoland area to get married. It's free on us. And you guys decide the voting, but we want to get you to know these couples competing. And we have Becky and Gil here today.
Hello. Hey, so first off, we want to know how you guys met.
So we met working at a very well-known pizza place here in Chicago. We're in Schaumburg.
Luminati's, come on.
Yeah, get rid of Illuminati's, all you pizza lovers out there.
I started off as a bus boy, and then I worked my way through a phone worker, then host and cashier, and Becky was a little server.
Yeah, Gil was a youngin' coming in.
And you took advantage of him?
I did. Don't
As
tell
upper
HR.
management?
We are HR's worst nightmare.
I quit before things got serious.
All right, so what's going to happen here is Becky and Gil, you're going to kind of turn away. Becky's going to write down the answer, and then you're going to have to guess if she guesses correctly on the question. Based on this first one, what is your partner's most used phrase?
Hold on, I'm going to need like a minute. Let me brainstorm this really quick.
We don't have a minute. We have about 10 seconds.
Shoot. Okay. Okay, ready, babe?
All right, Gil. Turn to the microphone. What do you think she wrote down?
Man, I'm going to get this wrong, but it's, are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me? The most used phrase between Becky and Gil. What did she write down? That's what she said.
It's all good.
What's your partner's go-to karaoke song? All right, you got one down?
I do.
Okay. Gil, what do you think she said?
Okay. I'm going to say it's a Cage the Elephant song, at least I hope. And I'm going to say Social Cues, maybe. We don't karaoke a lot, so I'm going to say Social Cues by Cage the Elephant.
Okay.
And what did she write down? She wrote down anything Cage the elephant. We will accept that, I guess. Here.
Sweetie little Jean, more specifically.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Again, Gil, turn away. Who was your partner's celebrity crush?
Ooh.
No. Hands out loud, Becky. You already wrote it down?
Yep.
Okay, Gil, what do you think she said?
I think she said Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus. What did she say? Miley Cyrus. There you go.
Oh my God.
What's going on with you and Miley Cyrus?
Anna
Well,
Montana.
we have the same birthday, which I thought was a pretty cool connection. My sister was into Hannah Montana growing up, and I would just be in the living room watching it, and I'd be like, oh, this chick's pretty funny. I don't know.
I hope you now like the older version.
No, I don't know. The older version took a turn for sure.
Listen, we're really looking forward. Good luck in the voting. As anybody listening, remember, that is Becky and Gil. And if you like their story, like what they heard, vote for Becky and Gil. And we love you guys, and good luck.
Thank you. We love you
we love you
guys.
too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with Mumford and Sons, as we're going to have Kenzie Crimes at 8:20. But first, some food news we have to get to. And Jody in Franklin Park checked in because she hit us up during the broadcast on Friday, the Cubs broadcast, to let us know that there's a chance that Portillo's is going to start serving breakfast food. And that was the first time we heard about it. It was the middle of the broadcast. It was chaotic. So apologize, Jody in Franklin Park, that we didn't do the story live from Almost Home Tavern, which had delicious.
I would like to point out that I wanted to.
You did, but you were eating a donut.
And then Brian's like, listen, we really have to focus on the whole baseball thing. And I'm like, okay, fine.
That's right. We had great breakfast food there at Almost Home Tavern and Grill, our spot. But thank you, Jody from Franklin Park, for checking in. So now let's talk about it for a second. Could Portillo soon have a breakfast food item, or many of them? It was a social media post they did that hinted toward that.
Hold on, you got to say all of that again with the breaking news music under it. I don't think we're understanding the gravity of this situation.
Thank you, Case.
Kenzie, you get me. I've always said that.
What? Absolutely. And this is what I was talking about on Friday when I got brushed off.
I'd like to note, I eat at Portillo's more than the both of you combined, and even in my lifetime, we could add it up, and it would, all the hot dogs I've eaten would stack up to the moon from the earth. So let me do this. I'm fine. It's okay. We put it off.
Well, do it right, damn it.
Okay, you're right. Here we go. An iconic Chicago hot dog and Italian beef spot will soon do a menu involving the most important meal of the day, breakfast. So it was on.
Breakfast.
It was on April Fool's Day. That's the rub here. People saying like, oh, okay, they're doing this, but they say no, it's not an April Fool's joke.
They were like, that was really unfortunate timing, and we've already fired the PR person.
So it's something that they're going to test this summer: a bacon, egg, and cheese croissant breakfast sandwich. And there's a photo of it, and the date is April 15th, 2025 on the social media post saying it'll be available then. Now, they've already know. Of course, they have the icons there. And you told me, Kenzie, your husband actually gets the ribs when he goes to Portillo's.
Oh my gosh, he will literally, when everyone's like, what rib place do you recommend in Chicago? He goes, Portillo's. You don't understand. It's the best ribs. He loves them.
And whenever I see people doing that, they look really happy eating the ribs. And
They
I
actually are really good, because I'm not necessarily the world's biggest rib person, and I did take a bite once, and I'm like, okay. And then I took 2 more bites, and he got mad. Because he started getting a little.
What was that sound you made when you took a bite?
What do you mean?
You went, so I took a bite and I went, okay.
Okay.
Okay, these ribs are pretty good, okay?
Have you ever seen somebody? I don't know. Is my microphone
I don't
getting
know.
feedback?
It
Why
was
don't
a
you
bit
put me on this
squeaky
mic?
today.
There's a little weird feedback going on. I don't think it's your mic, dude. I think it's, I don't know. Is your earpiece there? I don't know.
Okay.
Your
Anyways,
earpiece. What is he? He's not live from a different location.
I was picturing, well, is that mine or yours doing that?
I think that's me.
Get close to the mic for a
Okay,
second.
just to have just to have an image right now. Brian's going in and out of his microphone really fast, which is funny.
Yeah.
No, just keep doing that.
It's not
That'll
me.
fix it.
You do it real quick. Just test it.
I think that's me. Anyways, have you ever seen somebody look sad while eating ribs? Kenzie talked about how happy her husband looks. I've never seen somebody looking sad while eating ribs. It's an
Okay.
impossible thing to do.
Well, that was the problem, is I didn't want the ribs, but then I was like, well, I've never looked that happy in my entire life, so I would like a bite.
Well, I would love to try. All the years of going to Portillo's, I've never tried the ribs, ever. So
That's insane.
My next visit, I'm doing. I always get Italian beef. I always get hot dogs, cheese fries, cake shake.
I get the pasta.
Oh yeah, their pasta, the
I
mostaccioli.
hate that there's not pasta at all of them anymore. It's a huge problem.
Now, are you meaning that there's not the separate Was it Barnelli? How'd you pronounce that?
Wait, Barnelli's is the part that has the pasta. Okay, so it wasn't technically Portillo's. It was, featuring. Like, think of an album. Okay, so every Portillo's that had a Barnelli's is the one with the pasta. And they don't do that anymore. And some of those bitches still got the Barnelli sign outside, and they're still not serving pasta. And I have a big problem with that.
Well, I thought you could still get the Mostaccioli on the menu without the Barnellis. I thought.
You may, but I would like a pasta menu, like an entire an array.
Well, we're looking forward to a breakfast sandwich. And next week it would be appearing as they test it out. And I don't know. I mean, we're here, so we're not really getting the breakfast sandwiches. I mean, unless it's the weekend. You know what I mean? We can't go right now.
Unless the multiple days a week where we're not here in the morning. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm worried about on a daily basis going to stop by Portillo's and getting a breakfast sandwich.
Well, you could have it delivered.
I'm sure we can get some delivered.
Or Kenzie can go out and get us some.
I will go right now and wait till April 15th if you want.
Why don't you do that, Kenzie? That'd be great.
I'll just call in.
All right, staying with more food news, Olive Garden has lost its spot as the top U.S. casual dining restaurant after 7 years to a surging chain. Texas Roadhouse has taken them out.
God, I love Texas Roadhouse.
And that's kind of wild because I got to believe there's way more Olive Gardens than Texas Roadhouses as far as a franchise. In Chicago, I think you've got 15 Texas Roadhouses. I just looked
But
them
have you
up.
seen the size? If you're talking about square footage, though, the sizes of Texas Roadhouse are like, they're taking over Walmart super centers when those close. They're huge.
I was meaning just like the amount of actual restaurants. I didn't know they were taking over Walmarts that closed down.
I'm just saying, like, there may be, like, more Olive Gardens, but I think square footage, there's more Texas Roadhouse if you do it that way.
I mean, I'm looking at Countryside, Mount Prospect, Tinley Park, Bloomingdale, Dyer, Indiana, Aurora, Portage, Crown Point, Joliet, Gurnee, Crystal Lake, Kenosha.
When I see those neon letters, it is like the wise men who saw the star in the sky. That's how I feel. I'm like, follow it.
Oh, that's amazing. So yeah, they've beaten them for the first time ever. They beat Olive Garden, which is a tough one. That's Duke. That's Tiffany Henyard. That's the champions right there. And I haven't been to one in a while, Texas Roadhouse. I know you go more often, Kenzie.
I do. I support them. I support big.
Well, the problem is as I looked at it, we did this once before, that in the city, I think the closest one is LaGrange to downtown, probably. So
Listen, there's not exactly one next to me, but I find a way.
Why didn't they put one at the top of the Hancock building when the Signature Room closed? Now that would have been smart.
It could have been the entire building. It could have just taken over the building.
They could take over this building. People are moving out of the NBC Tower, too. They could take over this one.
That is, I've
Throw a
noticed.
Texas Roadhouse in that bitch.
Yeah, I've noticed NBC Tower is actually missing a Texas Roadhouse. I've mentioned that to the staff before.
What if
They all complain that there's not enough business at the cafe. If you turned it into Texas Roadhouse, there'd be lines down the block.
Something to
baby.
think about.
Or they took over so many floors it became the Texas Roadhouse Tower.
Instead of the peacock, it's just an outline the shape of Texas.
Oh, that'd be great.
Like I said, that is mean. I would find that through the night as my guiding star.
Finally, one more piece of food news, and it relates to what you drink when you eat. The 7-Up Endless Summer has been released. And this features strawberry and watermelon flavors available in full sugar or zero sugar varieties. I love they have the full sugar. Now, Case has already tried it. Case, what was your review in 60 seconds of this 7-Up?
I saw this 7-Up in Mariano's on Saturday, and I stopped in my tracks like I had seen buried treasure for the first time. I couldn't believe that there was still some in stock laying in the aisle at Mariano's. It's fantastic. Now, of course, I have the full sugar version. I did buy it with my girlfriend. She said, "What about the zero sugar version?" And I swore at her. I said, "Absolutely not." I did. I taught her a lesson.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did someone call the cops because they thought you were like a domestic?
Well, I did get arrested over the weekend. I wasn't going to bring it up. But I spent some time.
He explained to the officers why, and they were like, "Well, that's obviously a pass."
They beat her with their nightsticks.
Yeah. Here, you need help?
The cops went, "Well, don't do it again. Don't do it again."
Look, if you want summertime in a can, I can't recommend the new 7-Up Endless Summer flavor enough. It is bursting with berries. It is sizzling with citrus. It is happiness in 12 fluid ounces. I love it so much.
God, that'd be good with vodka.
It's good as it's good as a soda, too.
You can't just do that every time you hear about anything. We're like, we brought up Portillo's breakfast. That'd be good with vodka. Is that good?
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
Kenzie's Crimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a north side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate awaiting.
I'm not guilty.
Q101.
It's Brian and Kenzie on Q101. Time for Kenzie's Crimes, when Kenzie takes us on a journey through murder, mystery, drama of the Chicagoland area. Some crime that's been out there. And Kenzie, take it away.
Now, this may be a restaurant that's familiar to you. Brown's Chicken and Pasta.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
And I think I know where you're going with
And
this
you know?
case. I don't think he does.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Brown's Chicken and Pasta is a familiar restaurant throughout Illinois and Indiana. It was first founded in 1949 by John and Belva Brown. They opened their first location in a trailer at 80th and Harlem in Bridgeville. And it was actually just Brown's Chicken at that time. Then in the 1980s, pasta was added to the menu and eventually to the name of the company. And then in the 1990s, they added a traditional grill named the Chicago Way, and that was added to all the Brown restaurants, and that was kind of brought on the table by Frank Portillo, who was actually a president at this company at one time, who obviously then started Portillo's with his brother, Dick Portillo. One that was very popular was the Brown's Chicken in Palatine. It was at 168th West Northwest Highway. And on January 8th, 1993 is when it became a lot more well-known. The restaurant had 7 employees working when 2 customers walked in to order minutes before closing. You know how that is if you work in the restaurant industry and someone walks in, you're like, oh, I thought we were done for the night. You know, you're like, come on. And then you're smiling, and then they never know what they want. They're like, take their time, look in. You're like, it's called Brown's Chicken. Come on, man. Okay.
Sure.
The customers actually pulled out a gun and told everyone to get to the back of the store. They then fatally shot and stabbed all 7 of the employees who became victims, and then proceeded to stack their bodies on top of each other in the freezer. They stole less than $2,000 and left.
This was unbelievable when it happened, as far as becoming just a national event, and you couldn't escape the story and how horrific it was. And years, I mean, it literally went on for years. And I'm sure going to tell more of the memories of this now, because a lot of times you tell a story I don't know, and this one I do, and it just was so ingrained in my brain. This
Absolutely.
Story.
The deceased included the owners of the restaurant, Richard Ellenfeld, as well as his wife, Lynn, and they were of Arlington Heights. The rest were also employees. So Guadalupe Maladano, he was 46 of Palatine. Palatine high school students, Michael Castro and Rico Solis, 16 and 17 years old. Thomas Menace, 32, and Marcus Nelson, 31, also from Palatine. Obviously, this murder happens. No one sees it. Restaurant was closed. It was just them. So Michael Castro's parents became worried when their teenage son didn't return home from work. Clearly, the restaurant was closed, gave him a little bit of buffer time. He did not come home. They called the cops. Not long after, Guadalupe's wife called because her husband also hadn't returned home from the exact same place of work. The police showed up several hours after the restaurant should have been closed and realized the employee entrance was actually ajar and open. When they walked in, the restaurant clearly had not been shut down for the night. They started walking through. They couldn't find anybody, anything that's suspicious. And then when they opened the freezer, they found 5 victims stacked on top of each other. Then they opened the cooler in the kitchen and found 2 more. Now, there wasn't a lot for officers to work with. Decided to murder 7 people for $2,000. There was a mop bucket full of bloody water, which made it seem like they hung around and kind of tried to clean up, which is very weird. The murder weapon was not left at the scene. However, one thing that was there was a piece of chicken that did have a bite taken out of it. Now, they decided to preserve this very carefully since it was one of the only pieces of evidence. However, technology was not advanced enough at that time with DNA just to take something out of a bite. I'm going to pause right there because the way that they found out who did this is so badass, and this person probably had to have a lot on their shoulders for a long time. It was really, really great a while later how they nailed these people.
Well, when we come back here in 3 minutes, the conclusion to the Brown's Chicken Massacre here in Kenzie's Crimes with Brian and Kenzie on Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101.
The Brian and Kenzie Show.
On Q101. 101.
Brian and Kenzie on Q101 with the conclusion of Kenzie's Crimes, which is about a legendary Chicago story, tragic, horrific, the Brown's Chicken Massacre.
Yeah, the Brown's Chicken Massacre, obviously a local chain here in Illinois as well as Indiana. 7 people died. It was the 2 owners as well as 5 employees when 2 customers walked in at the very end of the night and brutally stabbed and shot everyone and stacked them one on top of each other in the freezer as well as the cooler. This crime went unanswered for 9 years.
Yeah. I just remember being on the news like every once in a while, every couple months, it would be on the news, and then nothing, and they make it a lead. It was so prominent on Chicago news, every once in a while for that was that amount of years.
So May 2002, a woman named Ann Lockett came forward. She claimed it was her boyfriend at the time, James Degrowski, and his friend Juan Luna that committed the now infamous Brown's Chicken Massacre. Juan Luna had actually been a previous employee of Brown's Chicken, and he was interviewed. They interviewed all previous employees. Like the police were like, okay, is it a begrudged employee who left, things like that. And he had left on good terms, no issues. The motive didn't seem there. So they had interviewed him, which is very interesting. Ann Lockett claimed they had both come home that night and told her in detail about the heinous crime. Her boyfriend, again at the time, not currently, James, then threatened to kill her if she told anyone.
Jeez.
He just told you how he killed 7 people. I understand why she believed he'd be willing to kill her. And how bone-chilling. What an awful position she was also in. Like, of course, these victims and their families, but then a horrible thing for her and her life also. Luckily, DNA technology by this time had advanced. They took the preserved piece of chicken and they were able to find saliva on it, which matched Juan Luna.
Jeez.
Can you believe, had they decided because they didn't have the technology to not preserve that, this would have been word of mouth.
Wow.
Prosecutors stated in court, because both men confessed with the matching of the DNA, the testimony, right? The prosecutor stated in court that the men felt like, and I quote, doing something big that night. The convicted killers, Juan Luna and James Degrowski, are now both serving life sentences with no possibility of parole. That particular Brown's Chicken location eventually closed, and the building sat vacant for some time. It was later torn down, and in that address is a Chase Bank, but again, the building itself was torn down. So Chase Bank sits there at that address to this day. The company itself, Brown's Chicken, still has locations in Illinois and Indiana, one of which includes Palatine.
I thought most of them closed because of this crime.
This is a hard thing for them to shake, but they do still exist.
Yeah, I didn't realize there were still a couple open.
Yeah, and one's in Palatine, because when I was researching, I'm like, is this just a poor coincidence for a different Brown's Chicken company in Palatine?
Yeah.
Like, I really wasn't able to figure it out. I'm like, are they the same? I was reading Yelp reviews to be like, so sad the crime happened here. I was like trying to find something.
But the chicken's
that
great.
connected them.
And the pasta, oh, my own.
Well, you got to separate the crime from the chicken. It's like Art and the Artist.
I think they had like 100 locations. Like, I remember there was a lot of them.
There is fewer now. It's a really hard thing for them to shake. But I'll tell you what, I read quite a few Yelp reviews. A lot of people are saying it's still great chicken, in case you're wondering. Good Yelp reviews.
You should go and patronize the place, because they, it shouldn't stop you.
Once again, no eerie vibes, because that place itself is not.
Yeah.
There's no longer a Brown's Chicken there.
Kenzie's Crimes.
Milwaukee police found body parts in a North Side apartment.
Not because I was angry with them, not because I hated them, but because I wanted to keep them with me.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
This is evil, what those people have done to me.
C says Heaven's Gate away team.
Q101.